I'm deeply concerned about the rapid escalation and global spread of infection.
COVID-19 has spread to over 200 countries and regions, forcing governments to resort to drastic measures.
Un'Italia zona protetta.
Todo nuestro país, en toda España.
A national emergency.
Temporary restriction on.
संपूर्ण लॉकडाउन होने जा रहा है.
Go home and stay home.
More than a third of the world's population is under some form of lockdown, with their movement and travel restricted in varying degrees. The measures vary, but the purpose is the same: to slow the spread of the highly infectious virus. One of the strictest lockdowns so far was the first, the lockdown of Wuhan, the epicenter of the outbreak in China.
Wuhan is the city at the center of the coronavirus outbreak.
Has suspended public transport as well as
suspends public transport and outbound travel.
Guang, one of China's top epidemiologists, was sent to Wuhan in January to investigate the outbreak.
我们提出建议的时候，那时候是1月20号，那时候提出建议的时候，全国的病例那时候实际上是也就300多，3天以后就被惨淡下降，全国600多，武汉是500多。可是从现在来看的话呢，确实是这个建议的话呢，能够那时候提出来是很不容易的。为什么那时候正好是春节以前的这个春运，我们非常担心春运可能把这病毒带到各处去。
中国山东航空公司 SC。
2 days before Chinese New Year's Day, China imposed the largest quarantine in history. First in the city of Wuhan, then the entire province of Hubei, affecting over 45 million people. Later in February, Chinese researchers calculated that if this quarantine was delayed by 5 days, the total number of cases in China would have tripled. A lockdown can easily backfire, but it didn't. Thanks to 580,000 community workers in Wuhan mobilized to help residents.
我们社区有2134户，3466人，老年人居多，全体来上班。
独居啊，然后还有空巢啊这样的老人的话，我们手上都会有一份名单，是每天要特定的要问一下的。孩子不在这里，然后他们就加我的微信，在微信上面跟我说要买什么。小李，我小姚，您接一下，慢一点啊。好，这边买了就这样送过来。慢一点，大家，有什么问题跟姑娘讲啊。
发热的病人他们要送，孤寡老人的药啊、粮食呀、菜呀，他们都得送上门。在这战争当中，我们能够尽了什么力呢？他能够理解他们，能够跟他们帮的忙是最好。
When the outbreak worsened in Wuhan, some residents were not even allowed to leave their compound.
We lock down, the concept will be going to the community setting. So keep at home and to avoid to contact other people and not attending the meeting and not attending the banquet. That's very important.
Zhong Nanshan, a respiratory scientist, is leading China's COVID-19 team of experts.
In China, we choose suppression. So do our best as far as better. So trying to make this occurrence, the incidence, to the minimum. And then nobody can block, can stop the spreading or stop the infection of this kind of disease. But we can try to do our best to inhibit the spreading.
Back then, many questioned the effectiveness and the necessity of such restrictions. But today, experts like Dr. Anthony Fauci, a key health advisor in the Trump administration's coronavirus task force, believe it made a difference.
Their efforts have been draconian, something we never would be able to do here. But even though there's a lot of things that have unintended negative consequences of that, I think it did help dampen what would have been a broader Chinese. Wuhan was terrible, but I think they prevented a broader spread.
According to this study, Wuhan's quarantine only delayed the outbreak's progression in the Chinese mainland by 3 to 5 days. But at the international level, the number of imported cases from China was reduced by nearly 80% till mid-February.
We're encouraged that the steps China has taken to contain the outbreak at its source appear to have bought the world time, even though those steps have come at greater cost to China itself, but it's slowing the spread to the rest of the world.
如果是要是一个弹钢琴的话，它是一个不常弹到的一个键。我觉得当这个威胁到的时候，我们公共卫生的话，专家更容易体会到它的危险性，是吧？这时我们就要提醒官员，你这个键你该弹了，而且你要重音弹呐。
We have a simple message for all countries: test, test, test. Test every suspected case. If they test positive, isolate them and find out who they have been in close contact with up to 2 days before they developed symptoms, and test those people too.
Test, test, test. That's exactly what South Korea did. In early February, when they had less than 20 cases, they were mass-producing test kits, which were sent to regional health centers. By the middle of February, when cases spiked in the city of Daegu and made it their worst-hit city, they were more than ready to test for potential cases. And they made it easy.
아무래도 다른 사람하고 접촉을 안 하게 되니까 차 안에 있으니까 그것 때문에 일로 오게 된 것 같아요.
10 minutes is all it takes, and the results are usually out within hours. The test is also free for all suspected cases.
짧은 시간에 많은 사람을 진단할 수 있기 때문에 저희들이 코로나 바이러스를 효율적으로 컨트롤할 수 있을 것 같습니다.
Across the country, there are 50 drive-through testing facilities and 600 testing centers designed to screen as many people as quickly as possible. A nation of 50 million, South Korea has tested 1 out of every 100 citizens, the highest testing rate in the world. Once ranked second worldwide in confirmed cases, South Korea managed to flatten the curve, slowing the virus's spread so that fewer people need to seek treatment at any given time.
它控制结果的是造成一种低流行状态，是持续的，但低流行状态也是不稳定的。你比如韩国和日本都不稳定，它控制到什么一种程度呢？我说它也是比较成功的，它医院的话能够容忍的程度。比如说我的病人的话出院了，腾出床位让新感染的人不断进来，形成个动态的，是吧？我不造成太大的压力。
The faster the infection curve rises, the faster the local healthcare system gets overloaded. Hospitals will struggle to treat a sudden surge in patients. In a flatter curve, the same number of people could be infected, but over a longer period of time, allowing the healthcare system to cope. When Wuhan was locked down on January 23rd, only 4 countries, the United States, Thailand, Japan, and South Korea, reported 7 cases altogether. 1 month later, on February 21st, when cases in China plateaued, the number of cases outside China hit 1,200.
What I believe is the window of opportunity is still there, but our window of opportunity is narrowing. I would put it that way, narrowing.
More countries started seeing more than 100 cases. Authorities tightened their reins, but the virus seemed unstoppable.
That COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
By April 7th, 1.2 million people outside China were infected. In less than 2 months, the number grew by 1,000 times. While some countries are dealing with the first wave of infections, others are guarding against a second wave, like Singapore. For 3 months, it has managed to keep cases below 1,000. But there were signs of the outbreak worsening. So in early April, the city-state announced stricter measures.
We have decided that instead of tightening incrementally over the next few weeks, we should make a decisive move now to preempt escalating infections. We will close most workplaces, except for essential services and key economic sectors.
Zhong Guang is confident that China is now better prepared to deal with a potential second wave.
让它可能烧1棵树，烧几棵树，绝不可能烧一片树林，更不会引起森林大火。不能控制的，不可能。这是中国的话，老百姓都，是吧？从这个政府到我们公共卫生监测系统，是吧？到群众的话，这个素养都在这盯着呢。不管是外来的还是内部产生的，关键的话，你有这个监测能力了，是吧？你能够及时识别了，就能扑灭。
Whether it's a lockdown or extensive testing, an effective public health measure is the one that has the people's support. When the government and the people work in tandem, this partnership will serve to buy time for hospitals to treat patients, for authorities to come up with coping mechanisms, for researchers to develop vaccines, and most importantly, to lessen the impact on vulnerable countries. While the virus can no longer be avoided, with proper and timely measures, the number of casualties can be reduced.